Chili.
It must be. Oh, sure.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday, our Tech Tuesday, where I dive a little bit deeper into the technical aspects of nutrition and supplementation and how it works and how it doesn't work and what it does and what it doesn't do. And I'm starting a new little series tonight. I'm not too sure how many weeks it'll take me to get through it, but we'll see how far we get. And I'm talking about magnesium, the magic of magnesium. If you haven't used this particular supplement, not everybody needs it, but an awful lot of people do need it. And it makes a huge, huge difference. So if you haven't used it, you won't know the difference. If you have used it and you were lacking it, you will certainly know the difference. And I didn't realize how much I was lacking until I started taking it. And it was quite the injection of energy. And originally we were told, it's there for boosting energy, so I took it during the day. And then Dr. Eddie Nambasi suggested at one of the trainings that you should take it at night. It'll help you to sleep better. I said, excuse me, I use it for energy. He says, yeah, you do it for that too, but it also helps you sleep better. Yeah. But I said the same thing with our aloe vera juice and the same results. Well, I've now added a magnesium tablet to my CalMag every night. So I take 2 calcium, magnesium, plus an extra magnesium, and sleeping is amazing. It has made a huge difference. But before I go for my park run on a Saturday morning, I take a magnesium tablet as well. And by the time I'm just not quite halfway, it's kicked in and it makes life so much easier. There's not even a sign of cramping. I can feel my heart rate stabilizing, and it just makes a huge difference all around. So if you don't need magnesium, great, carry on with what you're doing. If you are falling under any or notice any of the signs and symptoms that I will mention during this talk, then maybe you need to investigate taking some extra magnesium. So let me stop waffling, get on with my sharing. And there we go. Get rid of this and this. Okay. So magnesium, why do we need it and what does it actually do? First of all, what is it? It's a metal, but we find it in trace elements in almost all of our food. It has a use, obviously. It falls on the periodic timetable as a metal, but it has a lot of other uses, specifically dietary. So why do we need it? Magnesium plays a role in over 300 enzyme reactions in the human body. So if you're feeling a bit tired and sluggish, it could be that some of those reactions are not working quite the way that they should be. Magnesium functions include helping with muscle and nerve function, regulating your blood pressure, and supporting the immune system. So it's quite an amazing little element that we've got in our body. An adult body contains around 25 grams of magnesium, 50 to 60% of which the skeletal system stores. The rest is present in muscle, soft tissues, and bodily fluids. Now, when we talk about calcium and magnesium, the two work together, as you'll see as I get further along with this particular talk. Now, calcium causes a contraction in muscles, and magnesium causes a relaxation, which is why the two work together in synergy. And then obviously we throw in vitamin D, which helps the body to absorb everything else. If I'm dragging a bit, it could be because my internet connection is a bit unstable, according to the notice I get. So please forgive me. Many people in the US do not get enough magnesium in their diet, though deficiency symptoms are uncommon in otherwise healthy people. So if you're healthy, if you're eating a balanced diet, you probably don't need the extra. However, as you'll see, there are a lot of people that do need that extra bit. Doctors link magnesium deficiency with a range of health complications, so people should aim to meet their daily recommended levels of magnesium. Now remember, when you get sick and your body is showing symptoms, those symptoms can be an indication of a lot of different things. For instance, a headache can be a symptom of simple dehydration, but it could also be a symptom of a tumor on the brain. You don't know what it is until you work out all the other symptoms. So when you go to a doctor, he's not a miracle worker, but he's more like a detective. And most doctors, specifically physicians who are sort of like specialist GPs, they've got to rule out what the problem isn't before they can make a diagnosis of what the problem is. You go to your GP and you say, oh, I'm sneezing, I've got a runny nose, I've got a fever, my joints are aching. He can fairly quickly diagnose that you've probably got flu. Well, you might also have tick bite fever, so he's got to ask a few other questions as well. You go to an orthopedic surgeon and you take an x-ray and you can see, oh, I've got a lot of pain in my arm. You take an x-ray and you can see the two bones are sitting like that. It's fairly simple to figure out. You fell, you've broken your arm, we need to fix it. And they've got the easy job because it's relatively simple to sort it out. But when it comes to internal medicine or where your physician comes in and you've got all these health symptoms, that becomes a little bit more tricky to diagnose exactly what the problem is and what those symptoms are related to. So things like almonds, spinach, and cashew nuts are some of the foods that are highest in magnesium. Now, think of what you ate today, maybe yesterday. How many almond nuts did you eat? How much spinach did you have? And how many cashew nuts did you have? If you didn't, well, you probably didn't come close to your optimal amount of magnesium. If a person cannot get enough magnesium through their diet, their doctor may recommend taking supplements. Some of the few times that they do that. Now, magnesium is an abundant mineral in the body. It's naturally present in many different foods and added to other food products. It's available as a dietary supplement and present in some medicines such as antacids and laxatives. And you'll see why just now. Magnesium is a cofactor in more than 300 enzyme systems that regulate diverse biochemical reactions in the body. And these include things like protein synthesis, muscle and nerve function, blood glucose control, and blood pressure regulation. So if you're suffering from really high blood pressure, what's causing it? If you're suffering from really low blood pressure, what's causing it? Are you getting regular cramps in your body? What's causing it? You might be eating a lot of protein, but is your body able to utilize that protein? Because if it can't synthesize it and absorb it and break it up and push it into the areas that it's needed, well, what's the point? Now, magnesium is required for energy production, oxidative phosphorylation, don't worry about the big fancy terms, and glycolysis, meaning that it's therefore, obviously, the energy production, we're not going to describe that one. The oxidative phosphorylation, we also won't worry about falling over those big words, but it's the oxidative stress that happens in your body. Remember what I spoke about the other day when I spoke about antioxidants? Well, this is where magnesium comes in to help regulate that. And glycolysis is your synthesization of sugar. So it contributes to the structural development of bone and is required for the synthesis of DNA, RNA, and the antioxidant glutathione. Now, obviously, a couple of years ago, we learned all about what DNA and RNA were because of certain things that were attacking those areas and certain things that were designed supposedly to assist those areas in making us healthy. Well, we won't get involved with that, and I'm using the terminology that I'm doing for a reason. Magnesium also plays a role in the active transport of calcium and potassium ions across cell membranes. And this is a process that is important to nerve impulse conduction, muscle contraction, and normal heart rhythm. Remember, I said magnesium works with a lot of things, specifically calcium. In nature, you will almost never find a single supplement or a single element working on its own. It always works together. Just like I always say, our body is like a car engine. You don't just put in petrol and turn the key or press a button, depending on what sort of vehicle you have these days, and it drives. There's a whole lot of things that work together. You can put in petrol, but if you don't have a spark to ignite the petrol, nothing's going to happen. And you can't get the spark without having a spark plug. And you can't, and the spark plug is just this useless piece of metal and ceramic if there's nothing else that's working. So you've got to, there's this whole big system that works together. And without one, the other doesn't work properly. Whether, you know, if you just had petrol in your car, your engine would still seize because it now doesn't have any oil. So you need oil, but you don't need more oil than petrol. So it's a whole big system. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But know that your body is the same thing. You can't just take in protein, even though our body is made of protein essentially. You can't just live on protein. It needs other things. The protein doesn't work without amino acids. So if you only have 3 amino acids, your protein is pretty useless as well. If you just have magnesium without any of the other minerals, it's useless. It's not going to do anything. If you just have calcium, you're going to actually end up with other problems if you don't have the magnesium to regulate it. So everything works together in this very finely tuned little machine. Now, the mineral plays an important role in assisting more than 300 enzymes to carry out various chemical reactions in the body, such as building proteins and strong bones, regulating blood sugar, blood pressure, as well as regulating muscle and nerve functions. Magnesium also acts as an electrical conductor that contracts muscles and makes the heart beat steadily. And assessing magnesium status is very difficult because most magnesium is inside cells or in bone. You know, you go to the doctor and in general, they're going to order a couple of basic tests. Quite often it's an X-ray or a CT scan, but almost invariably they are going to order blood tests. And blood tells a huge amount of stories. It's almost like Google. It's got an amazing amount of information, but it doesn't have everything. Even Google doesn't know some things. And how much magnesium is in your body? It's very difficult. Short of sucking it out of the bones, going into the cells themselves, breaking them down, you're never going to get a true reflection. You can get an idea, but not a true reflection. Oops. So where does magnesium play its largest role? It's essential for energy production. And we need magnesium for making ATP, which is one of the things that is needed for your energy production. And we've got this little graphic over here. So magnesium works in the cells, which helps to create that cellular energy. And ATP is our cellular energy currency and fuels hundreds of reactions in our body. Think of a little pen-light battery doing the same sort of thing. And some of these reactions are protein synthesis, your DNA and RNA manufacture, as well as your hormone production. So how does magnesium affect our health? It's a key factor in making several parts of the body run smoothly: the heart, the bones, the muscles, the nerves, and others. Now, imagine if your heart is beating at 1,000,000 beats a minute. It's not going to last very long and you're going to be in trouble. Similarly, if your bones are not getting sufficient minerals, you break easily. Same with muscles. Imagine if you're low on magnesium and you're constantly getting these horrible cramps in your legs. I'm sure you know of people who have got restless leg syndrome, as well as those very, very nasty cramps that just strike at the most inopportune moment. And if you've ever had a cramp, you'll understand what I mean. Nerves, you get all jittery and they're not working correctly. That's just some of the things. Without enough magnesium, these areas malfunction. This is summarized in research, which finds that a magnesium deficiency or low magnesium diet leads to quite a few different health problems. Although epidemiological studies show that higher magnesium diets are associated with lower rates of disease, results are mixed from clinical trials showing that magnesium supplementation can correct these conditions. As I've said before, and I'll keep on saying it, when it comes to research in nutrition, finance plays a big role. As I've always said, you can patent a medication and sell it at a significantly inflated amount in order to earn back your investment into the research. But you can't really patent food or supplements because, well, who's going to patent the food that we grow in our garden? So in order to get that patent, it involves a lot of investment of money. But because you can't recoup that investment, it therefore just costs a lot of money. So they've got to do clinical trials over a much longer period of time than the drug researchers can do, simply because they then have to rely on other information. So essentially, the medical field these days is one big research system. And if there's any unusual case, the doctors talk to each other. They're always talking amongst each other, and they're going to different symposiums and conferences and things like that. And they're presenting different talks. And if they pick up an interesting case, they're going to share it with other guys in that same field. And that is research. That is how things get developed and where answers come about. And it may be because a magnesium-rich diet is often higher in other nutrients, which collectively work together in disease prevention, as opposed to a supplement containing a single nutrient. So remember, a lot of supplements that are synthetic are exactly that. It's just magnesium. Chemical piece of metal is magnesium, or it's just calcium. It's not in conjunction with a whole lot of other things, which is what you'll find in food. In food, you don't just get calcium. You don't just get magnesium. You don't just get vitamin C. You get a whole lot of things in different amounts. So you've got your main item as well as your trace elements. So for disease prevention, a good rule of thumb is to eat a daily diet that includes some magnesium-rich foods and take a supplement if directed by a physician to correct a deficiency if blood levels are low. Remember, as always, with anything, a good, healthy, balanced diet is your key to a good, healthy, balanced lifestyle. But supplement is exactly that. It is in conjunction to your diet. So you don't need to take a ton of stuff on a daily basis if you're getting a balanced diet. However, sadly enough, 98% of today's population in the entire world are not getting that balanced diet. So therefore, you need to work out what you aren't getting and supplement it accordingly. So your magnesium, what are the benefits? They benefit neurologically, they benefit muscularly, cardiovascular health, skeletal health, your immune system, and your metabolic health. So we'll start with the skeletal system, which is your bone health. While most research has focused on the role of calcium in bone health, magnesium is also essential for healthy bone formation. You talk to anybody, and pretty much everybody, and I have a lot of my patients say, oh, yes, I've got aching bones and I know I don't get enough calcium, or I know I need to take my calcium and I'm taking this calcium supplement or that calcium supplement. Is it a good one? And I'm going, you're not trained to say anything, so rather just keep quiet. And I never say, yes, it's good, no, it's bad. What I do advise is this is what you should be looking for in a good supplement. And I mention calcium and magnesium and vitamin D and what form the calcium should be in, and that it needs to be chelated. And I let them do their own research. And you can do the same thing. We are not doctors. We are not dietitians. We are not even clinical nutritionists. However, we do generally know a little bit more than the layperson who has never done any research of their own and they've never looked into any information on calcium or magnesium or any other big funny word that they hear. They just put it all together as vitamins. You don't even often hear people talking about minerals. They all know about vitamins, and we all need to take our vitamins, but not everybody realizes that they need minerals and they need protein as well. And we know just a little bit more than the average person. So therefore, it's up to us to share that information and let those people make the decision on their own health. Research from 2013 has linked adequate magnesium intake with higher bone density, improved bone crystal formation, and a lower risk of osteoporosis in females after menopause. Osteoporosis, which a lot of people are aware of, doesn't just happen in ladies. Men can get osteoporosis as well. And in fact, all of us start losing bone density from the age of roughly about 25 years of age onwards. And I had somebody this morning say to me, oh, my kids tell me I've grown shorter over the years. And I said, yes, you have. I can't tell you exactly how much shorter you've become, but we are shorter as we get older, simply because the little cushions between your bones, the intervertebral discs, they flatten out with time. So you lose height. Your bones settle, so they lose that height as well, because they're losing the density. Now, ladies obviously lose bone density quicker than men, simply because in most cases, they've had little suckers inside them called babies. And babies need they need all of their nutrients from the mom. And if mom isn't getting it from her diet, baby's going to suck it out of her bank, namely her skeleton. Specifically, we're talking calcium and magnesium to create their own skeleton. So ladies generally lose minerals more than men, simply because they've had this little body inside them that needs all those nutrients and is going to get it one way or the other. So ladies owe it to themselves and their children to be especially careful with their diet and their supplements when pregnant. So magnesium may improve bone health both directly and indirectly, as it helps to regulate calcium and vitamin D levels, which are two other nutrients which are vital for bone health. The other thing that it comes in is diabetes. Researchers linked high magnesium diets with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. Remember we said magnesium is there for blood sugar levels? This may be because magnesium plays an important role in glucose control and insulin metabolism. And if those things are not in sync, you are going to get diabetes. A 2015 review in the World Journal of Diabetes reports that most, running out of time over here, that most, but not all, people with diabetes have low magnesium, and that magnesium may play a role in diabetes management. Remember, we take averages, and what works in one person doesn't always work in another. What causes a problem in one person might not necessarily be the cause of a problem in another person. Some people are affected more by one thing than another, like pain levels. Some people have a high pain threshold, some people have a low pain threshold, and some people have a no pain threshold. I meet those ones too. So a magnesium deficiency may worsen insulin resistance, which is a condition that often develops before type 2 diabetes. And we call it prediabetes. On the other hand, insulin resistance may cause low magnesium levels. In addition, a systemic review from 2017 suggests that taking magnesium supplements can also improve insulin sensitivity in people with low magnesium levels. However, researchers need to gather more evidence before doctors can routinely use magnesium for glycemic control in people with diabetes. So they can't say, oh, if you take a magnesium supplement, you're not going to be diabetic. They're still doing ongoing research. And when we talk about ongoing research, some of these research things literally last a lifetime. And they will take a select number of people from birth and they check out their medical records right the way through life and see if they died naturally, what caused it, how old were they, what are their genetics like. There's a whole mess of things. It's actually quite mind-blowing when you look at everything that they check out in research. And research is very in-depth and very technical. So I'll do this one quickly before I end and run out of time. Cardiovascular health. The body needs magnesium to maintain the health of muscles, including the heart, which is a muscle. And researchers found that magnesium plays an important role in heart health. A 2018 review reports that magnesium deficiency can increase a person's risk of cardiovascular problems. And this is partly due to its roles on a cellular level. The authors observed that magnesium deficiency is common in people with congestive heart failure and can worsen their clinical outcomes. People who receive magnesium soon after a heart attack have a lower risk of mortality, in other words, a lower risk of dying. And doctors sometimes use magnesium during treatment of congestive heart failure, or CHF, to reduce the risk of arrhythmia or an abnormal heart rhythm. According to a 2019 meta-analysis, increasing magnesium intake may lower a person's risk of stroke. And they report that for each 100 milligrams per day increase in magnesium, the risk of stroke is reduced by 2%, which is quite significant. And some research also suggests that magnesium plays a role in hypertension, high blood pressure. However, according to the Office of Dietary Supplements, based on current research, taking magnesium supplements lowers blood pressure to only a small extent. So they're not going to say too much. And the ODS call for a large, well-designed investigation to understand the role of magnesium in heart health and the prevention of cardiovascular disease. I'm going to stop right there. We still have about 8 minutes, but I don't want to run out of time. So does anybody have any questions or comments before I stop the recording?